Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Geyser, and we've lost our guest.
That is Wolf Brother Methos.
Oh, there he is.
Look.
This is Wolf Brother Methos from the channel Frost and Fists.
I'm Rosie McKean, Johnny B's other half.
And I am said Johnny B. But together we are
Modeling for Advantage.
Not bad, not bad.
Hey, so the London Bishop couldn't be with us tonight. Some crap happened at work and he's had a terrible day. So Rosie Raccoon has stepped in. So let's have a quick look at the comments. We've got Josh Wood is with us. Good evening, Josh. Team Clueless Games. Howdy, Nick. Modeling for Advantage says evening all. That would be me. Did it twice as well. Rich John is here. Howdy, Sailor. Tony Halton, Aled, and Tony Halton says, talking through my stuff to see what new kill teams I can form. We'll talk about kill teams in a bit. Reading the new rules for it has won me over. I'm going to leave that comment there because we'll talk about it in a second. But let's talk about that hobbying that we're doing tonight. I am finishing up some goals for SPQR. I'm probably not showing up very well there, but I've got about 8 of those to do for our next SPQR game. Just putting what's it on? Clothing. Methos, what are you up to?
I am working on some Squig Hog, some Orc Cavalry tonight. And yeah, I'm hoping to get those finished up tonight.
Very nice.
Sweet. What are you doing, Ro? You doing anything?
I am making mug rugs.
Mug rugs.
Mug rugs. And I am preparing some Star Wars themed ones.
Very nice, very nice.
I got Rebel Scum logos on them. Don't like it.
I said Rebel Scrum. I said I'm doing Kaiser's Chieftain, Gaelic Chieftain on horse, because it's got to look the dog's danglies. You see,
it's gonna be sweet as, mate. Sweet as.
And that is what we're doing tonight. But in the meantime, our wonderful guest, who is epic, is going to tell us now who he is, where he's from, his bank details, his PIN number. No, not that, but what he does on YouTube. Tell us all about yourself, Methos.
Before I get started, the dog's danglies, is that a phrase across the pond, or is that just a Johnny B phrase? I'm just
the mutts nuts, the dog's danglies, you know,
the dog's bollocks means the bee's
the dog's bollocks, yeah, it's normally what it says. Yeah, the dog's bollocks.
I got you. I sometimes I have trouble of figuring out what's a Johnnyism and what's my phrase for my friends across the pond.
I wouldn't worry about
it. I'm Methos from the channel Frost and Fist. We used to be a real YouTube channel once upon a time. We're mostly live streamers now, and every Friday night we tend to do a chat, which is usually about 8:30 p.m. U.S. Central Time, or usually 2:30 a.m. UK time, and we just talk nonsense about Warhammer for a few hours. We try and do community focus, so we look at the articles, we look at some amazing artwork from community people, and that's about it, guys.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Very nice. If you want your miniature painting to be famous, post it on a Frost and Fist Facebook page. They will show it to the world, and everyone will gush over it. I mean, it's a big section of your show, isn't it? Is that community
art of the week?
Art of the week. That's what you call it. Yeah.
Art of the week.
And I have occasionally seen you struggle a little bit to be nice about something that's terrible, because I've never heard you say anything bad about something. You're very, very, very positive.
All about hobby positivity.
Absolutely. Reading over the new rules has won me over. So that's Tony talking about Kill Team. I got a message from John on, and that we have unboxed it. You can watch us unbox it. I know you've all already seen this if you want to.
Yeah.
But we got our take on it, basically. But I got this message from Johnson. Have you read the rules yet, mate? It's like doing a maths exam. Add the square to the triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Just give me the numbers, man. Just tell me the numbers.
I think that's what it was. I was struggling with the fact that where it would say 1 inch, You know, it was specifically the terrain and how to figure out how a dude bro is obscured and if you can draw line of sight to him. And there's 3 different sections of it with 3 different diagrams, and it was confusing me to hell because it's if the dude's within circle and the other dude's not within triangle, then you got line of sight. But if you've got the spanner and the circle and the triangle, it messed with me. But if they'd said inches, yeah, man, it would have been sweet.
Deduct 2 inches for crossing a barricade is what it should say.
Yeah.
And if you're Asian like me, you can't afford deducting any inches, anyways.
It's not restricted to people from the Far East, mate, I can tell you.
No,
especially in the cold weather that's coming. Right. Team Clueless, because I was hoping Rosie was going to say bunting.
Bunting.
Saffron69, hi there, buddy. Mogrogs, don't get them wet after midnight. So, Rosie, because we're all so excited, why don't you tell us what a mug rug is? Because some of us are Luddites and we don't follow fashion.
It's basically, it's just a coaster.
You've taken a lot of the glamour out of it now.
Why can't you just call it a tea coaster?
Well, because there's rules around it. You can't call them coasters. Yeah, because if like it leaves like a ring on your table, like your coffee table, then you can actually get told off, which is why they're called mug rugs or mug mats.
Right. So you're covering your own art, just in case it burns a ring on the table. That's what you're telling us. That's why they're called mug rugs. Okay.
And is this the latest in gift technology for all the fashionable young people?
Yeah. I'm going to be working on a Christmas range, and I'm hopefully going to do like an autumn range, and then just like a general range. I'm looking at potentially getting some dice fabric too.
Very nice.
For mug rugs?
Yes.
Mug rug, not for making fabric dice.
I mean, that'd be a bit of a push.
Yeah, all right. Private Parakeet is the newest member. Welcome to the team, buddy.
Wow.
Nice to meet you. Is this someone we know in real life, perhaps? I'm not sure. Yeah, so we got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. One of the things we're going to talk about is Kill Team a little bit, but we're also going to talk about Warhammer Plus because it's come out now. We've had a week. John and I have watched some of it. I think Methos has watched. You're a subscriber as well.
Yeah.
Talk about and there's a lot of hate out there for it, and I understand that. But I thought it was worth kind of talking a little bit. So I've taken some stills from what I think is the signature show, the Angels of Death thing, and we'll go through those. And hopefully John will tell you a little bit about the story, and we'll have some discussion. But just first, kind of broad brush responses to it. So if I can try and summarize the criticism for anyone that's not interested in GW but is here, the criticism is it is about $6 a month, $5 a month, 4 or 5 quid, and there's like an hour worth of video on there, and they're going to put another 20 minutes up next week, and on top of that there's a couple of battle reports which are not very interesting. I mean, we watched the Learn to Play Kill Team videos, of which there are 3. They're about 2 minutes long, and they tell you nothing.
Yeah.
They're like really kind of high level abstraction, like, you know, the principles of how it works rather than the details. We thought, all right, we'll get the paints out, you know, we'll have a session, we'll watch the Learn to Play Kill Team video. It was totally useless. 6 minutes later, it's like, well, we better go on YouTube and find something. So that's one of the criticisms. They're going to teach you to paint, show you battle reports. Like, this stuff is free on YouTube. Right? Guys like us do this all the time. Yeah, Game Workshop will probably have higher production values, but nobody wants to pay for that. And I understand that. If you were to compare Warhammer Plus to Disney Plus, it is not a good value proposition. But that isn't what I'm comparing it to. I looked at the miniature and thought, I'm pretty much prepared to pay this annual subscription fee for that, because John collects Imperial Assassins, and that Vindicare is sweet, and he thinks I'm going to give it to him a year from now. Well, we'll see. But you know, I watched the storytelling thing, the Yarrick story that they put out for free, and I thought this is all right, and I subbed. And I got what I expected to get. I did not expect to get Netflix. I expected to get half an hour of Warhammer stuff a week, but I was getting a miniature which was nearly worth the subscription fee. Basically, that was my feelings, and I've got what I expected out of it. Methos, what about you? What's your reaction to?
So I freaking love everything on it right now. I mean, everything I've seen so far. So I've watched a couple of the masterclass painting videos, which are fantastic. I've been a fan following Louise's work on Instagram for a couple of years now, so I may be already enthused with her work. You know, somewhat biased. The animations I've loved, and I understand that the Hammer and Bolter art style is not for everybody. But the Yarrick one was good. There's one about Imperial Assassins on there, which is absolutely fantastic. Exactly what you want to see for Imperial Assassins. And it's a couple of different types too. So you're getting a plethora of action there. And then, of course, one in more of the Astartes kind of art style, you know, is the Blood Angel one, which looks super cool. And it's just the setup video, you know, the kind of this is where we are. And it seems like there's going to be some action in the next episode, and I'm really excited to get to the action. So overall, I've enjoyed everything I've watched on there.
Nice.
Rosie, I'm not ignoring you, but I think you didn't watch any of it yet, have you?
Is that what I watched in the car, or watched some of it in the
Yes,
car?
actually, yeah. And now that you say that, I forced her to watch Yarrick. Whilst I was driving, I was like, "Here, have a gander at this, missus. What do you reckon?"
What did you think, Rosie?
It was okay, actually. I enjoyed it more than what I thought. Didn't finish yet, I'm not gonna lie, because when we got home, I was like, "We're going to bed now, night," and then watch Walking Dead.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But from what I did watch, I enjoyed it.
Okay. Because
I did like the orcs. They were very cool.
Yeah.
the two stupid orcs. Because in many ways, you're probably closer to its target audience in that they're not looking at people who are diehards in the hobby. They're looking at people at the periphery who might be interested in their IP. People who would buy plushies, and people who would buy Funkos, and people who would buy other stuff without actually playing the game. They're trying to market. And I think there is a huge number of people out there who play Warhammer computer games that never touched the miniatures game.
I think you really nailed their target audience in the first 3 words. You know, people who, four words, first 4 words, people who would buy. It's just that. That's their target audience.
Yeah, people who will buy. Yeah, that's a good shout. Very, very true.
I mean, I'm always looking for slightly different, quirky things to buy John.
Yeah.
But that's because I like weird and quirky, but also because John's difficult to buy for. So I'm always trying to think of ways of like,
He's ginger, isn't he?
What is that?
Clothes won't fit him because he's too skinny.
But yeah, I'm always scouring, mainly at the moment, like Etsy. I look a lot on places like there, Redbubble, places that you wouldn't maybe find the norm. So,
all right, yeah, John. First reaction.
Response. I'm not happy watching Games Workshop anything or buying Games Workshop anything unless I'm utterly disappointed. It is a must. It is a must for me. It is part of the hobby, and just because I enjoyed it. I enjoy Warhammer, hence why I still buy things and never do anything with it, and then give them to Kaiser to sell. But it's not going to get away without any criticism. I like Hammer Boa. That's what it's meant to be. It's cartoony, hilarious. But that Marine thing, man, it couldn't quite make up if it was trying to be a serious sort of CG render, or if it was trying to be a puppet show, because some of them guys were talking like I'm talking now, and that bugged me a little bit. I'm sure I'm a bit thinking that way because somebody else had watched it and I'd watched a review and they're like, yeah, this is a bit all over the place. I think I agree with that. Like the Terminator scene at the beginning, it looks like they blew the budget on that, and then you know,
with the one armed captain fighting the Gene Stealers.
Exactly, But I still enjoyed it because I enjoyed Ultramarine the movie when that came out, whenever it came out, and that is a shocking film. But I loved it anyway. So there you go. You know, love hate. All
right. We'll go back to the comments before we go into more details. So Kev from the Hobby Corner is here and he's pleased to see you as well, Methos. Of course he is.
My brother.
You need to do a white circle, blue sky, black triangle, Mogrog. And it's got to be orange because the kill team is orange, right?
And black.
Orange and black. Where's all the likes at? Smash that like button. Thank you for that, Kev. 769 says, painting my British Airborne with the rapid deployment paint. Have you ever used the dark tone and would you use it? So I don't know what the rapid deployment paint is. That I know the dark tone is an army painter thing.
I'm wondering if it's sort of like a contrast styly paint.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about
I've not seen it. Yeah.
Oh, that might be the name of a set which just has all the main colors in and some strong tone. Now I come to think about, I think I have seen this.
All right. Yeah.
I think that might be what it is. Let us know, Saffron, if it is. Dark tone. Well, so dark tone, my experience for dark tone was the dip washes from like 10 or 15 years ago when everybody was raging about them. And I had a bit of a go, and like everybody else, I got a bit fizzy for it for a while. And then I was like, no, this, I don't want this. No. And now you get the strong tone or whatever, it's just a shade wash like everybody else. And I saw Sonic Sledgehammer Studios, I think it's called, the Australian guy that's painting videos. He compared Agrax and Strong Tone and someone else's, and actually the Strong Tone did seem to give the better finish of the three, but I've kind of committed to doing Agrax. But very interestingly, someone I was going to talk about tonight, Agrax Earthshade. Yesterday, I opened a fresh bottle of Agrax Earthshade. And
nice.
And I haven't done that for a long time. They come in big bottles. They last quite a while. And I did not get the result I wanted. I washed this guy, and he is extremely dark.
Yep.
And I washed him in exactly the same way I'd washed the last miniature out of the old pot. I was like, that stuff must get very watered down as I get towards the bottom of the pot.
Must do.
You know, because every time you use it, you clean your brushes, what have you, there's a bit of water on there. You do that hundreds of times in the same pot. It must have been a lot, because this, I was completely shocked even as it was going on. I was like, whoa, that looks quite dark. But it's there now. But this has come out really, really dark, unless they've changed the formula. It's extremely dark. Because that's Cadian flesh tone, that.
Are you sure?
And
you sure it's not Catachan flesh tone? No, I found that as well. I've got a relatively new pot of it, and I think it is darker in general, mate. I think they've had a
made it darker.
A different batch. Yeah,
different batch.
I think.
Yeah, it seems very dark, and I did give it a good shake and everything.
I don't know about yours, but mine seemed to have a tiny bit of a sheen as well. Not massively, but normally it's quite gritty and mute and matte. But this mix seemed a bit satin in its finish, which was a bit
interesting. So maybe the medium is slightly different. Like you say, different. It definitely is a different batch because it's in my old one was in the old pot style, and my new one is in the new, like the contrast pots.
Oh,
yeah.
Which had worried me a little bit. I was like, is that definitely it? Because I don't want contrast. So they obviously needed to use up the old. It's not just the contrast that are in those pots. It just hasn't got to the others yet. So David Halliwell says, coasters, I get the coffee rings onto the new table ASAP and then never need to worry about it again. Mate, pro move. Absolutely. Yeah, they're already there.
Pro, man.
Stop worrying about it. Methos talking to the chat brothers there. Here, have a gander at this, Mrs. What do you think? Said so many times in the car. Hey, up there, sailor.
Yeah.
Well, getting a bit old for that sort of thing, aren't we? Rosie,
Yeah,
can
man.
you do mug rugs with a dragon on them? Says Alid. I think
I should
Rosie
be able
does
to.
do
I'm
this stuff
looking at
for
dragon
commission,
fabric
doesn't he?
now.
We're talking the Welsh dragon here, Mrs. By the way, FYI. I would have thought,
Ah, in which case, yes, I will definitely find Welsh dragon fabric.
but
I just saw
that
some.
needs confirmation from Alid there.
If he wants a Welsh flag as a coaster. Rosie, if people want to get hold of you about if they do want a coaster or something making, how are they going to get hold of you?
I'm both on Facebook and Instagram at Rosie Raccoon Creates.
But she's done a lot of that kind of handcrafts stuff. Like,
Look,
you know, she did face masks and things like that.
Look
Rosie
for that
Raccoon
symbol.
Creates. There you go.
Chill.
And if you can't find her, you can
That's
get
super cute.
a Modeling for Advantage contact us sheet, and I'll forward it to her.
Yeah.
But it's all unique items, isn't it? You make the thing that the person wants.
Yeah, and I tend to make everything to order as well. So
Yeah. All right. Hope everybody is having a nice evening. Not too bad. Kevin Mitchell is here. Hello there. Rosie talking to Ali. Duncan FX. Hello there, soldier. Still love the jammy dodgers there. I think
I
Warhammer
love
Plus
jammy
is a
dodgers.
big commitment when the output is so uncertain. So I think you're right. And I mean, I think if it was being done properly, fairly, they'd develop a whole bunch of content and then they'd release it and so forth. And the problem that they've got is there isn't an existing body of content to move over there necessarily, or not an existing body of content that they're happy to not continue to monetize. It's like the codexes are not on there for free, for example. You know, as they move their business model across, they can't afford to lose money. Well, they can afford to lose quite a lot of money. It seems they're making hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
But they don't want to risk their existing franchise. And unlike Disney Plus or whatever, they can't just buy other people's stuff to put on there because it's irrelevant, right?
I'm sure they did, didn't they? Didn't they get the Astartes guy and like take him in, take him out back, and dispose of him?
It's not like they can buy Star Trek and Stargate and stuff. Do you know what I mean? They can't just buy a load of other people's TV and movies and to pad out the content at the beginning. And I think I think buying it now, you're essentially subscribing to a Kickstarter. This may go nowhere. This may last 6 months. It may last a year. But within 3 to 5 years, there's presumably going to be a lot of content on there. The content that goes on there generated with the money that it's making. That's the idea going forwards. So you're kind of paying for what it will be rather than what it is the other thing about it. Because there's no way that for TV content it is in any way worth it. Yeah, they could have fit everything on there on a DVD, and I'd be disappointed for a $5 if I bought it as a DVD.
I think Johnny's got a great idea, though, since they are already, have picked up the Astartes guy. Man, if they release that body of work on Warhammer Plus and just added it to their catalog, I think more people.
It's free on Warhammer Community. They have done that.
They have
on Warhammer Community.
Oh,
if you go to the Warhammer Community tab, it's in there. Yeah, and they've tidied it up a little bit as well, I think.
Very nice.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, the output is uncertain, and it may flop. This is huge industry making media and taking control of it yourself. And also, then they talked about Eisenhorn. They're going to do that through Amazon, right? I thought that was what was going to happen there. So does that mean their flagship program will not be on their platform?
That would suck a big fat one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, mate. Yeah, I mean they may have licensed it in such a way as they also have it. I don't know. Alan, can I order 6 if you can do them? Yeah, you guys probably want to connect up and talk. Paint some expanding foam rocky outcrops. Currently looks very biological work. Hopefully it'll look more like rock after some magic dry brush action. Yeah. I've definitely done that before. Yeah.
Dabbled with it with all right results, or
yeah, it's storage that's a problem because it's actually really delicate. Well, it's not really delicate, but even the slightest bit of damage is going to reveal that really bright coloured foam underneath, and the foam's going to rip, tear, cut quite easily. Because I made that kind of terrain with kids at school to get some battlefields on the table. We had to chop up some foam, spray it grey, glue it underboard. Boom, there we go. Can look quite effective, but I found it to be quite fragile. Richard, I tried Agrax once. It was really shiny. Yeah, John mentioned it. I've definitely had that. I've seen another guy painted some Khorne Berserkers, and it's like about a third of them had a sheen to them.
What is worth checking
the same way.
What is worth checking is that there is gloss versions of each of the paints.
Yeah.
So it might be because somebody picked a gloss up, looked at it, and then put it in the normal Agrax paint rack bit. And then you came along and picked it up thinking it was normal Agrax. Because I did that. I picked up a non-oil, so I thought. And when I got home, it was non-gloss. But I definitely picked it up from the non. Do you remember that?
Was that an angry moment? So, Rich, do you find that Strong Tone is more consistent then? That's interesting. Alid's life will be complete if he gets a Welsh track. Mark, hello there, buddy. Right, yeah. So keeping up Warhammer Plus, doomed to join the many failed streaming services. I mean, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. So if I share with you some pictures, then we can talk about. If I can get this up, we'll talk about the main one, if that's all right. Share screen window. This one. So Angels of Death is what it was called. This is the Blood Angels one. This is the CGI. I think it's the premium show. They've released one episode of it. They have not said they're going to release one a week either. They said they're going to release something every Wednesday, but they haven't said that won't be a battle report or a painting guide or a picture.
And they covered their asses by saying almost every Wednesday as well.
Right. This is a CGI show that you've been previewed. So the setup of the story then, John.
So, right, there's some dudes and they're in red armor. And they're called Blood Angels, right? And then, so it starts off with a Blood Angels Terminator, bald as a bald thing from Baldington. And he's in a bit of a firefight with some dribbly aliens. Which, can you guess what they are? Yes, Gene Stealers. True fact. So he's on the planet. And he's a bit roughed up. He's definitely lost an arm from what I could tell. Yeah. And he's fighting what looks like his last stand. Then it goes to the spaceship. Woo! And there's the rest of his battle brothers there having a bit of a discussion about other random things. Trying to build character for these Blood Angels. Yeah. And now I thought there was only one main dude that they were sort of focusing on, and that's the guy with the Xenos Hunters,
Deathwatch
dude. And Kaiser has come along and said later that actually there was another dude that looked extremely much like this other dude, and it was very confusing. How can I boil it down? They're trying to figure out what's best to do. There's a window of opportunity to escape because they're currently in a warp storm stuck over the planet with the Blood Angel captain on said planet. Or do they go and rescue the captain? And that causes a little bit of a divide between the members that are still on the ship. And I think that's as far as I'm going to go, because otherwise, that's the whole plot, right? Did that cover it?
I guess so, yeah. So there's a warp storm. So they've all been stuck there for Lord knows how long, and it's also on the planet. The captain is missing on the planet. We've seen the captain is the guy in Terminator armor, missing a guy that we've seen in the preview video. And there's an argument between, there's only 11 Marines left out of this. They've obviously been on some kind of crusade or campaign, and they want to get back to Baal. That's the story. That's the story.
That's a key thing. There's a key reason to why they want to get back to Baal. Hopefully, there's a picture in these slides.
So this one,
hello,
he's the captain, and if you've seen this bit of the show, I would say this is the best bit, and this is like John said, they've blown all the budget on this because unlike later, this guy is the only guy who's lip synced in the entire video
with actual moving lips and teeth. Look, he has teeth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he just yells for the Emperor like they do.
Yeah.
The Gene Stealers before emptying his Stonebolter and throwing it to one side. So we don't know why he's gone down on the planet and why he's been captured by I'm saying captured, why he's ended up in tunnels fighting these Gene Stealers, but he has. So these are the protagonists, and this, I wish I'd looked at this carefully and mentally absorbed it before watching it, because as John said, this was very confusing. It wasn't confusing in terms of I just watched it and enjoyed it. It was only when I thought about it afterwards and was like, no, that was two guys, right? He said, no, it was just the one guy. The guy, so the girl in the middle is the captain of the ship. The one on her, as you're looking, the one on her left is the sergeant, and he's I used to be in, what did you say it was called? Methos? Death Watch. He used to be in the Death Watch. He's like, fight, kill. As the guy on the other side of him wanted to be a chaplain, but wasn't allowed because, they're mean. So he's obsessed with returning the gene seed to Baal. He thinks that's the most important thing that they need to do right now. Well, because the captain, the guy on the far left, is missing. But we totally assumed that those two guys were the same character, didn't we, John?
Yeah, I thought he was I thought he was walking away from the chaplain to begin with.
Yeah.
Because he's like not a fan. He's like, yeah, I was going to be in it, but I wasn't. And then later on, he's down in with the gonads, and he's like, yeah, I was going to be an apothecary as well. And I thought it was just him. He had really troubled ideas of what he wanted to do in the Space Marines. So
this is a good illustration of the broader problem that I have with Warhammer books and novels and so forth, which is you're a Space Marine fanboy and you couldn't tell the difference between two Space Marine characters because they're all,
to be fair,
characterization, they're all the bloody same.
Yes. I was looking down through most of it, painting, because I had to earn the privilege of watching it.
Yeah, but presumably they were even voice acted by different people, and we still thought they were the same guy. You know what I mean? That's how similar they are as characters, and yet they're supposed to be performing. They're the drama within the team. They're the conflict. They should polar. Yeah. You know what I mean? They should be really strikingly different with those. Now, just before I lose track completely, just have a quick look at the comments.
Have a look at some comments whilst I go. Yeah, I just need to go and start up another stream, okay?
Anti-Shine Matte Varnish in the box as well. Yeah, the problem I have with varnish is I never regard my miniatures as finished. I'm always wanting the option to go back and touch them up. And for me, once you varnish them, the paint is going to react really very, very differently with the models in future. What about you, Methos? Are you a varnish guy?
Varnish everything.
Everything.
Yep. Sometimes I'll varnish even like halfway through a project if I know that the next stage might cause some staining or something like that. Yeah. It's kind of like creating a little save point for me.
And you don't have a problem painting over varnish?
No, usually the matte varnish for me acts like, like if I gloss varnish or satin varnish, I'll have problems with it reacting. But if I go over it with a matte varnish after that, then I can apply paint as usual. The matte seems to stick to paint just fine for me.
Right. Okay. Kevin says, Foam's not as nice as cork. Just had some lying around some DIY. I figured I'd give it a go. Yeah, it gives you a good finish. As I say, it's just that when it chips, you've got this white or blue or whatever color comes through, and you tend to be making quite bulky bits of scenery and storing it, and you end up stacking it or something in a box. So, but if you've got space to store it, so it doesn't damage itself, the various pieces. Rich John, I thought I picked up the gloss chest. It wasn't. So not shaking it enough. That's what I hear. I had exactly the same problem, and I know others have. Whereas John did use the gloss one, but I definitely didn't own the gloss one, so that was not the problem. And yeah, I think I was told that shaking it was the problem. Whether that was the issue, but it just seemed to randomly happen sometimes. Well, they're going to release something almost every Wednesday because I'm almost going to subscribe. Yeah, they're almost every Wednesday. You'll almost subscribe. I think if you're not like well into it, don't do it. If you want that Vindicare Assassin, I would subscribe 100% because I think it's a beautiful model for those that want it. But I think in a year it'll be a really different proposition. There'll be a lot of content and a clear path, and will it continue to exist or something? I'm having to give it a go with the 12 months, the £10 voucher was £3 a month. Not so bad for the price of a coffee. Content will grow. Some will be good, some will be bad. Yeah, I think the £10 voucher didn't persuade me because a £10 voucher, but I have to spend it at Games Workshop. So I get 20% off if I buy it from Whalen Games. Yeah. So the £10 voucher isn't really a discount unless I buy a £12 model or something. And if you do it through their web show, you pay shipping as well, right? I don't actually see a £10 voucher as a discount at all. But that's just me. Maybe we'll give it away on the show if it's possible. 11 Marines on the wall. You take one and throw him into the warp with 10 Marines left. Whoa! Subcommandante. Looks like a poster for a poor PS2 game. You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. You express how little I care about Warhammer Plus content. All right, I'm sorry about that, Subcommandante. I know it's not everyone's thing, and we're not going to do this every week by any means. Don't think that that's the case. What I was wanting really said was we're going to have an episode where we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on because I think a lot of people are wondering whether they want to buy it at this stage. Right. So this guy then, he's the Inquisition guy, I think. So what was the story with this guy, Methos? What's this? Not Inquisition. You remember?
Deathwatch. Deathwatch, yeah. Which is kind of Inquisition.
So he's been in the Death Watch, but gone back to his original chapter.
Yep, he served his period and came back home.
And come back. So I didn't know that was a thing. And I thought it was like a legion you joined to be forgotten. I didn't realize there was any coming back from it. So
usually, whenever they provide their tribute. To the whenever a chapter provides their tribute to a Death Watch, they largely consider that they won't be coming back. It's usually a suicide order. Very few of them actually return back from the Death Watch, because usually they do the crazy things like, defend a planet during Tyranid munching, and so.
Yeah.
They don't expect to live, but the ones that do live, their reward is, at the end of their service, they get to come home. So it doesn't happen very often, but it is possible.
Right. Okay. So again, you look at this guy. He looks like a Space Marine. He looks like a Blood Angel. He's quite nice. He's got a pockmarked face and so forth, and all of that was massively in contrast to when he spoke. As soon as that mouth opened. And it wasn't at all lip synced. It was incredibly disappointing. It's like you spent all the money on the CGI, but this lip syncing, that's a bit more technical, isn't it? And you clearly are not prepared to pay for that or don't have the expertise. And it was really, really striking, I felt, when you got to that. Because actually...
Did it make you did it detract from your viewing pleasure?
It made it feel cheap. I'm not going to lie. It made it feel cheap. Yeah. I think we just, we live in a better age than that. And of course, you're a Astartes guy. One of the things that's interesting about that, and I'm certainly not criticizing, but because he's a one-man operation, he did the things that he could do well and didn't do the things that he couldn't do, right? So there's no guarantee that any kind of lip syncing would have been better on Astartes. It probably wasn't, and he just totally avoided that. And the entire thing is there's no chat, there's no talking. And most of the Marines have got most people have got their helmets on. Let's keep that. Like, faces are difficult as well. Let's keep that out. He got to choose how he wanted to present what he did. But this is very dark, but also very overlit, and so there was a almost miniatures like look about those Marines because they were super highlighted from all the light and so forth, and a fantasy art look. But this again, so you're a few minutes in. This is showing you the spaceships tethered around the warpstone infested planet. I was like, come on, man! The quality of this production just keeps going down. That
it was proper Schindler's List style, man. Everything was black and white except for the red.
But this is a computer painting. This isn't at all the same art style. It isn't a good example of what it is, And I've got to say I was quite disappointed. This doesn't fit with what I've just been watching at all. And not just that it doesn't fit. It feels like it's done because it's easier or because it's cheaper. All of the exterior shots were done like this, and it didn't for me. It didn't feel like it was done for cinematic reasons. Is what I'm saying. I really wanted to see was a nice long shot of the camera running down all of those huge cloistered galleries that you've got on these huge Imperial warships, and seeing all of that, and you never do because it's just a painting.
And it reverses away from the scene.
Yeah, it backs out from here. That's as close as you're going to get, mate. I don't know what Methos. What did you think about these exterior shots?
Be honest with you, like I just consumed the content. I wasn't really like judging the quality as I was watching, and so it didn't really bother me. It was just okay. This is the exterior. Like, oh, that's what the outside of the ship looks like. Was more what it was for me.
Yeah. And for many of us, I'm talking about this critically now because that's what we're doing.
Right.
Rather than like, was I upset by it? I wasn't like raging about it. But on reflection.
Yeah, I didn't notice it at the time. Like, he was just like, I was more veg watching it. If you know what I mean. Shut off brain, watch content.
Yeah, man. That's how I get through life, my man.
So this is the ship captain. And this brings me back to Warhammer. I can't remember what her name is, but she's got this newscaster voice, hasn't she? I was trying to, it almost sounded familiar. It was like this is a clear for TV voice that she has. And she says it's the strike cruiser or something, Sword of Baal. I thought in the law, after the heresy, Space Marines weren't allowed to have warships. For the same reason, they weren't allowed to have tanks. All of these things have been separated out so that nobody can take over again. But this is clearly some kind of battleship.
So in what I had been reading in some of the books I've been reading lately, it's more like they exist, but because of the lockdown of numbers and everything Gilliman put into place, most of them only stay at a quarter capacity at all times. There are a bunch of really empty ships with large closed off sections because these big ships are there, but they're back, all the way from legionary days where there would be thousands upon thousands of them, So
right.
They're
rolling around with a skeleton crew.
Yeah. Big husks of what they used to be.
Because the entire chapter isn't as big as the old legionary ships needed to be.
Exactly.
Right. But yeah, she's again. What I did like about her is she wasn't the archetypal Warhammer woman. One of the problems I have in the novels is every time you meet a woman, she's described as how beautiful she is and what her hair looks like and so forth. And they're just like the Space Marines, all the women are the same. You know, they're very cast, and she wasn't that, which was quite good. And indeed, I felt, for me, the interesting, the stars of the show were the ship crew. What they weren't actually the Marines all felt very samey, whereas the ship crew felt like these are very different people doing very different jobs. So that was her. Right, the gonads. So
mate,
the gonads, mate. This is what it's all about.
This is what Space Marine life is all about. Gestate the gonads so they can be harvested and put into other people to make them super hard by the medium of your gonads.
The facing is like, are we going back to battle to take the progenitor gland or whatever it's called? Because that's what we should do. Or are we going to rescue the captain? But the guy goes down where the tech marine is looking after these progenitor glands, and look at them, man. They've just got thousands of jars of gonads. It's just red testicles in blood.
Genius.
They could have made this look like whatever they wanted, but they went with a pair of nuts out of the sack.
Well, I commend the man that got that through, that stage, and was like, yeah, this is definitely what
what they look like. Yeah. But there was an interesting little bit of lore around this, wasn't there? Is the wannabe chaplain guy, not the actual chaplain, but the guy who wanted to be a chaplain and couldn't, or wanted to be a priest, which isn't the same thing, is it? No. He very much viewed the essence of this was about the eternal life of the Space Marine, was that these have been taken from their dead brothers, but they would live on in future Space Marines, because these glands, in the old days they made them for you, but nowadays they just cut them out of some dead guy and stick them into you, right?
Yes, mate, that's how it works.
That's how it works. Mate, got some other guy's gonads in my neck. Sweet.
One in your neck. One in your neck, one in your whatever, where your spleen's meant to be or something.
Right. So this is an example of the CGI sequence. This is the Tech Marine.
The Tech Marine looks so cool.
He looked really different. He looked really different. And there were some nice bits, nice features. I mean, they've got the kind of lens flare thing going on with it whenever they've got a light. But
I thought the nice bits were the last screen. Was that? Oh, we're not talking about gonads anymore. Never mind.
No, gonads.
The Tech Marine was probably, not only did he look different, he's got this big, what do they call that collar? That's part of one of the older armor patterns, isn't it?
Yes, I think that is the Mark II Tech Marine armor.
But the Space Marine armor that has the collar in front of the helmet.
Wasn't that one of the earlier? I don't think it is. I think that because they're like artificers and stuff, or artificers, or however you're meant to say the actual word. I think they very much like having the old ancient armors. So it's like the Mark II / Mark III.
Yeah,
Cylon.
A bit of a Cylon look, but he has got something inscribed on his shoulders as well, which I thought was nice.
Yeah,
they didn't draw attention to it. They didn't draw attention to it, so it was a nice little touch there. That reads "Toll of the Great Bell." This was the hugest bit of foreshadowing I've ever seen in my life in a piece of writing. So it's towards the end, they're like, "Ooh, well, if things get grim," and then they just, the camera pans over to this and zooms in, saying, "Yes, we've got a dead guy in a box. He's a blood angel, and he's called Ignis. Probably does fiery stuff, right?"
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so presumably, that's to get you all fizzy about how there's going to be a dreadnought later. But my favorite part about it was the other 8 Marines or whatever, all have got their names written on the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And that
rare, right? Yeah, look at that.
I think that's the only characterization you're going to ever see of these guys. I think they're going to go down to the planet. They're going to get killed. We're going to, oh, Brother Sangreal has died. Oh, never mind, brother. As he looks over his shoulder to check his name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not, maybe I'm wrong, but I felt that it's just like we're just these other guys have got names, you know. We have really fleshed out this story. Yeah. So
Brian
that was
Brian 1, Brian 2, Brian 3.
But overall, so you know, I've just run through, giving you quite a critical review of it. But as a standalone piece of Warhammer lore, it was quite nice. They introduced the idea, the kind of career paths of the Space Marines. I thought was quite interesting. The bit about the Death Watch guy, and maybe there'll be more on that later. The guy who wanted to be a sanguinary priest but couldn't. Yeah. And the Tech Marine talked about having given half of his soul to the cog of Mars. You know, so there was a little bit about, yes, it was trying to establish the characters, but it was telling you a little bit about, Brian 1, Brian 2, and Brian 3. They've gone a little bit further than that. They're called Ignis 1, Ignis 2, and Ignis 3. But yeah, so hopefully in scene, I did definitely enjoy it. I am looking forward to it. And it ended with the drop pods going down to the planet. And they're gonna go play Space Hulk now. Is where
Raphael
is where we were up to. So that's and I'll end the pictures. There you go. You've seen enough of that, and I'll go back to the comments. Did anyway in Methos? Did you have anything else to say about?
That's you pretty much covered everything there. I did like, you know, where the Space Marines, as is, you know, how they are kind of in the lore and whatnot. The Space Marines were very kind of quiet and stoic. I love the contrast that the captain was very loud, bold, kind of like, you know, a pirate captain you would expect, you know, just she's the voice of the crew kind of, you know, and I did enjoy that contrast.
Not the captain in Terminator armor on the planet. You mean the actual ship captain?
The ship captain, yeah.
No, I thought she was pretty good. As I say, I wasn't disappointed with her. And the other stuff, the other 3 episodes, one of which was the Yarrick thing. If I was to say what they reminded me of, is they reminded me of Tales of the Unexpected. There were each short stories that dealt with a particular idea. And in fact, the Yarrick one wasn't, but the other 2 were heavily moralizing. One was about hubris and the other was about corruption. Yeah. And so forth. And they very much had that, like, at the end of the story, there's the big twist in the tale, which you probably could have seen if you were paying attention. And they were quite good for that. But they are like one-shot content. You will watch this once. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I enjoyed them. Right, let's go on that. Well, they're going to release on almost every Wednesday. Yeah, I did cover that. 11 Marines left on the wall. Yeah, that's where we were up to, wasn't it? Poster for a report. Yes, 2 Big Mac Dan Skull.
Big Mac.
Content for us to talk about every week. No, we definitely will not. Are they the Grey-Faced Knights? No, but Chaos Gate. I need to stop talking about Warhammer tonight. But they have announced Chaos Gate coming out next year. Chaos Gate was like original XCOM, the original Chaos. He had action points, time units, you know, save enough points to kneel and shoot stuff. And I remember that game very fondly from my youth. I presume that they're going to make it an XCOM style game and they're going to use the Grey Knights. And I think I like XCOM style games. I think I'll probably have a look at it. Big McDan Skull says, mate. Looks like the Marines uses hair dye.
Yeah.
The oral movements were vague. Yeah, we said the lip syncing was terrible. Rosie Raccoon. I don't need to read your comments out because you're right there now. Can't afford coloring pens. I mean, for the black and white. I wonder if they have chapter approved toothpaste and deodorant. Mate, the whole merch thing it's a massive market, isn't it? Speaking of which, if you're interested in it, modeling for Vantage mug. No. Somebody at GW watched Sin City. Well, the thing with Sin City, though, was the whole thing was kind of done in that style, and it felt like they were trying to make a movie look and feel like a comic book, like what's the one with the Spartans in nappies? That again had that graphic novel feel, didn't it?
300, yeah.
You wouldn't have those like really sharp-edged, metallic-looking CGI scenes if that was the look you were going for. It's just that kind of consistency of style. She looked like Edward Scissorhands. I guess there's truth in that too. Yeah. Now the Marines are bigger. You can fit less of them in the ships. Yeah, maybe the Primaris Marines can't use the old Space Marine ships. I mean, it seems
the headspace too low.
Yeah. I think that's one of those massive gaps in the law, isn't it? It's like, oh well, everything that Belisarius Cawl has been doing he started it in the heresy era, right? And he's just been doing this on the side for 10,000 years, and right. Because the one thing about all of this Primaris stuff is it's not backwards compatible. You can't use the vehicles, you can't use any of the old equipment.
No, that's why you've got new equipment. Woo-woo!
Yeah, but actually, if ever there was a force of Space Marines that should be embedded in the equipment of the past, it's these guys.
Well, yeah,
because they were designed they weren't spat out by STC last week. They were designed 10,000 years ago and left in a freezer.
Well, yeah, so they don't know about the rhinos of old.
One box ship crews following kill team. If you want to fight with ship crews, though, you want to be playing the new Stargrave. No? Did you have a look at that, John? Did you buy it?
I do have it, yeah, I have got it, yeah. It's Frostgrave in space. With a few differences. Like you have to expend some strain points to do your skills, which are essentially the spells.
Right.
I mean, it looks okay, but it's just as swingy on a D20, and yeah, all right.
One of these sanguinary priests seems sinister to me. Well, he was the Gonan harvester, right?
Oh, mate, yeah, that's pretty sinister.
Gorgeous it was. Oh, mate. Brian123, we did talk about it at the time. Bob Edwards, just like another red-shirted Star Trek extra killed off earlier. Yeah, I honestly think that's why they put the names on there, so that they at least could reference them when they die.
They're like a half step up from the bad guys in Austin Powers. You have no name tag. You have no chance.
Exactly. Yeah. Going down to a planet while wearing red, dead. Absolutely. The Blood Angels have not learned this. Terrence and Jeremy. Brianus. Yes, that's what they would be called if they were Blood Angels. Brianus 1 and Brianus 2. Or Rod, Jane, and Freddie. I don't know whether the rainbow references are lost on our American friends. I'm late, but it's Greg. Hello, Greg and Kitchen Wargamers. There was and then Lee Brown Wargaming. There was clearly a better stream was on until 4 people all just popped into the chat at once. What were you guys watching? It was more interesting than us. Anything else to say? All has his gene copy is set to 150% by accident. He's got A4 to A3. Bzzz, oops. Yeah.
You know, I think Bruce Hornsby can explain why regular Marines can't go in Primaris transport. The Bruce Hornsby explanation is, hey, little boy, you can't go where the others go because you don't look like they do.
True fact. That was pleasant.
I thought it was all because the Primaris Marines are on USB-C and they just can't recharge their iPods and stuff, so they won't get in. We're like, no, wait, man. You'll fix the charging ports. Every chapter's buying new furniture for the Primaris. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I was watching an old episode of Only Connect to Stretch My Tiny Brain. I don't think stretching it gives you more mass. I don't know. There's science in that. I'm not the best person to say. Mate, we didn't talk about Kill Team. We bought Kill Team. We're excited about Kill Team, aren't we, John?
Yes.
We are excited about Kill Team.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a game for a couple of weeks because we have to digest the rules. We have to learn to play the rules. We don't get preview copies. You know, you're sitting in Methos. Some of us second-rate YouTubers, we don't get all of this stuff early. Would you go down to the hobby store with our own money, buy this stuff, then learn to play it ourselves?
I can't wait to see some battle reports from somebody somewhere with the new orcs in action. That's going to be cool. The new Kill Team orcs. Oh man, they look so cool.
They do. I do like the commandos.
The measurements are indeed done in cryptic mode. I'm interested to watch John melt when he has to use that combat gauge with the circle and the triangle. If you dash, you get to move an extra triangle, John. He's like, which side of it is that on?
I still don't understand why they've done it that way. I don't feel like they saved a lot of space by putting in a shape instead of actually putting in the number 1 inch.
I absolutely don't get it. I'd understand it if it was a language thing, but there's, and is that it? Actually, are Chinese numbers different?
Quite possibly, but
I'm just thinking of like where is there a vast because the kind of the numerals that we have are pretty universal, but actually, I suspect Mandarin, Japanese, they're probably not the same numerals, are they?
Man, so they're a big enough company to cover that in a couple of prints.
But if the rest of the rule book is written in English,
yes. Yes, you're right. Oh dear, get myself too excited. I'm just trying to think of a reason why they're not willing to use the numerals. And language kind of makes some sense, except I don't get it. I don't get it. But what I do know is when we play a few games and we talk about circle square, once I reckon John's got it, I'm going to switch and I'm going to start talking about the colours instead. Once he's comfortable, I'm going to just mix it up again. It's like, that's white. What?
What a tiny mind.
I'm just excited to see in the next battle report where, you ask Johnny B to calculate if he's in range and all the numbers start overlapping his face like one of those memes.
Oh. And then I just keel over and die. My brain's melted.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother Methos. Yeah, man, that would be cool. Minority Report, scrolling through all the calculations of trying to figure out a square, circle, triangle move.
And Team Yankee Flames is a good example of a game, and Bolt Action is similar, where you could actually get away with a couple of painted rods. Then they would make a life a lot easier. But I think that's the thinking with the combat gauge as well. And I've seen some YouTubers do use those little measuring tools. They've got the different sides, and long before Kill Team, they seem to really like them. And I think that they are games workers trying to get people to try it. There definitely is an advantage of being able to put something down on the table if you want to measure the distance between two models. With a tape measure, that's always difficult because the rest of the tape measure is also in the way. So having a 2-inch strip on the bottom of that kind of thing, measuring the distance between, having preset measurements does make some sense. I get that. And because that was Rosie tearing fabric, and by the way, not another noise.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what we're gonna claim. That's what it was. It came from your microphone. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Tearing a rift in reality.
There's a lot of 16 inches is a really important measurement. 8 inches is a really common movement. There are certain things you can go with. Gamers of Coffee says good point, Methos, but I'm not sure which one it was. Duncan FS. I guess the shapes will start appearing on the bases in models, so you won't need to reference the rules at all. That's the thinking with the combat gauge, isn't it? Measuring widgets and shapes increase sales. Well, they have also done, I don't know whether anyone else caught this, reach over to play the game. You don't need the combat gauge in the rule because they've even given you a ruler which doesn't have the numbers on, but does have 1 inch increments marked on it. But when you play the game, you actually get to deploy some barricades. You know, so you pick the match you're going to play. This is how you set up scenery, great, and then you put some barricades on, and they're up to the player to some extent how they deploy them. And so they are intending, if you want to play Kill Team, you're going to have to buy one of these. And so too, cards. They like to sell you all the little extras, but you have a little hand of cards that you're going to score your objectives from. Not a table, not a list. You've got the cards because you have to deal 2, choose 1.
Crazy.
Yeah. All the Necrons only move triangle. And why they couldn't have triangle as 3 and square as 4, I have no idea. Like, there was a way of making this a little bit easier, but they didn't go with it. Like, yeah, Pentagon is 6. What? What? Trademark. Oh, maybe it's so they can trademark it. They can trademark triangle representing 1.
That is quite a likely.
Maybe that is it. Dividers, or even electronic dividers. Huh? I don't know what an electronic divider
Measuring
is.
distance. Dividers.
Sounds
dividers.
interesting. We are 6 minutes over, but yeah, you'll see a Kill Team Octarius unboxing tomorrow. What you're not going to see from us actually is we're not going to be able to play Kill Team with anytime soon with the models that came in that box because we're not going to have time to paint them. Kill Team is a big game for our channel. Much more interested in Kill Team than 40k. We're hoping to get some practice games in quite soon so that we can get within a week or 2 we can start knocking the games out. And you can see them. We got the compendium. That's so poorly prepared. It came today. It's still in the cellophane. It came separate from the main order, which was really annoying because of the bank holiday weekend. It only just came today. First by official GW triangles. Fact. And John Wood. If it was an official GW triangle, he'd buy it. No doubt about it. Next week's on Friday is the update for the SPQR campaign, by the way. That's what's coming out Friday, where you'll learn the names of our new heroes, which are very much gonad orientated. And we're hoping to get the next game in just as soon as John has finished painting my dude, bro, there. So how do we get on with the hobby in? I got some colors on some trousers, but it's all progress, right?
Yes, and I need those done.
Where did you get out to, bro?
Me?
With your hobby in. Methos.
Oh, I got actually quite a bit done. I got the hooves and teeth done on all of my squig hogs.
Whoa, look at that.
Look at that. I love them in that pink. Is that the Thousand Suns pink?
No, this is a fluoro magenta from Vallejo. What I do is I start with dark purple, a rich, almost royal purple, and then I dry brush white all over it to get the textures out. And then I hit it with the fluoro magenta, and it kind of tints all the white parts pink, and it leaves purple in all the recesses.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Good technique. Rosie, how did you get on? Did you get any mod runs?
I've been cutting stuff out.
Cutting stuff out. Awesome.
And ripping one off.
Ripping one off, mate. And you, Johnny B?
Yeah, all the base colours down. I've actually been doing the highlights and a bit of damage on the shield. Not that you can see. Just pretend that it's awesome looking. Hopefully I'll finish it and we'll have a picture up on next week's stream.
If you haven't had chance to have a look at the SPQR games, as an game experience, because it's really small skirmish games, campaigns, so we're fighting the same armies that grow a little bit. The battles are like half an hour, and they're just silly. We've had you know, I'm not saying it's an amazing system, but playing the campaign against one another and giving our characters names like Penix Magnus and Biggest Dickus, we have massively enjoyed the experience. If you haven't had a look at the series, even if you're not even remotely interested in Ancients, if you're at all tempted to try something different, and it's just a really good example of what I think, what I want out of gaming, which is the system is actually so-so. The mechanics are not great, and the battles are incredibly lopsided, actually, aren't they, John? In both cases.
Yeah, I mean, without penis names, the game's pretty clunky.
But the characterization of the army and the development of the stories, the little campaign segments between the two, we've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that.
The challenge is just getting more models painted for the next game. Because you don't know how much you're going to, until you've done the battle results, how many men do I have to replace, etc.
Yeah,
so we're kind of constantly in a painting queue, unfortunately, as our armies iterate a little bit. But we're hoping to get that third game done in a couple of weeks. As I say, the campaign settings come out. Next Tuesday, we have got Discourse Miniatures. I mentioned her last week. She's a really high-energy new YouTuber, really opinionated content, which I like, mostly saying that Games Workshop are a bunch of evil money-making morons.
You're going to love it.
You always click on that stuff, right? GW hate their employee. GW hate you. GW stole your baby and ate it. That's what you want to read about. Yeah, absolutely. The last check of the comments. We've had a pair of compasses. Right, okay, yes, that works. I'll give this 4 triangles out of circles. Mate, that's 4 out of 2. 2.7543 triangles. Not even pi. Maybe that's imperial pi. Get the reason they changed the template and charged you for a new one without updating the rules. Oh, mate! And you're probably right. You're probably right. Closing remarks from me. Thank you for watching. Methos?
Feel free to come join us on Frost and Fist if anyone's ever awake at that time. Although, anyone over in the UK, I know it's super, super ridiculous times. We hate to interrupt anyone's sleep, but we always love when beautiful people like yourselves, especially when the Kaiser can drop by on a Saturday morning.
Nice.
Rosie,
Happy
final
days.
thoughts?
I like Lamp.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Do you really love Lamp, or did you say that just because you saw Lamp?
It's
She
because our
loves
dog
Lamp.
looks like a lamp at the moment.
She does look like a lamp. The dog does look like a lamp because he's wearing a collar of shame. So don't nibble your bits. This is my last comment. Don't nibble your bits because we'll have to put a cone on your head. Thanks, guys, for watching.
And on that note, guys, see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.